Hej alla här i publiken och hej till alla som följer vår livestreaming från hemmet eller arbetsplatsen. When we started to plan for these activities, we thought much about how the civil society and the army work together. Because we speak a lot about what's happening on the front line, but we might forget that there's an enormously amount of cooperation in order to have the civil world functioning, taking care of the people who don't want to leave, and coordinating the efforts to make it possible for the people to stay and to live their normal life while half of the region almost is occupied. More is a big challenge. So we're very happy to have two very important persons in this, and I'd like to mention that you've been awarded with a medal from the President Zelensky for your work, and I will, by those words, hand it over to our moderator, Alex Voronov.
Thank you, Sven. My name is Alex Voronov. I am freelance columnist and author covering Ukraine since 4 years. I'm going to just moderate this conversation. The headline of this panel discussion is Leadership on the Front Line, Governing a Region in War. And just start by introducing the panelists. Olena Zhuk is chairman of Zaporizhzhia Regional Council. This is what we call Regionfullmäktiges ordförande in Swedish. This is a function which has gone through some changes because of the war. And this is why, apart from being an elected official, she's exercising some functions in civil military administration of Zaporizhzhia. And next to her is Serhiy Dibrov, a major, public affairs officer in 21st Brigade, Armed Forces of Ukraine, serving on the Sumy section of the front line. This is these two cities, Sumy and Zaporizhzhia, are located quite distant from each other, about 350 kilometers from each other, different part of Ukraine, and as we heard in some previous discussions, every section of the front line has its own specifics. However, there are some shared experiences, some shared challenges facing those large cities close to front line. And I was hoping that we could have a conversation about that, about those realities, about challenges facing civilians, about cooperations between civil administrations and the military in this regard, how different parts of civilian life functions in this environment. And then, of course, say a few words about the Zaporizhzhia power plant. But I thought of starting with a question to you, Olena. Where were you? Where were you when the full-scale invasion started? And what did you do during the first days of full-scale war? Just to say that about 70+% of Zaporizhzhia region is under occupation at the moment, and it came under occupation quite early. So could you tell us about those first days of the full-scale war?
Hello, everyone. I met the first day of the full-scale invasion in the Zaporizhzhia region at work, obviously, as all the heads of regional councils do, always at work. Actually, there were very chaotic days. This is one of the reasons why I came to Sweden on courtesy of my dear colleagues and our partners from Western Norland and Värmland to tell everyone in Sweden that you should not be in mess and in chaos, and you should be prepared. That was the reason of my coming in general. But it was a real mess and it was chaotic because we didn't know the information in the whole. We understood that Russian invaders step by step are invading the regions of Zaporizhzhia region, parts of Zaporizhzhia region districts. We didn't have the full info, obviously, because some of the people were leaving, and Russia was having a great propaganda. It is very well known for the immense budgets they spend on it, and they on contrary from us, they were preparing. So they were spending immense billions of dollars for propaganda. So they were putting their trolls. The trolls were saying that all the enemy is just above Zaporizhzhia. So in the next few hours, you're gonna meet Russia in Zaporizhzhia, and so on and so on. So it was a hot mess, but it doesn't get in any comparison to the challenges that get on the road of our military forces. So as a civilian and as a CEO of Zaporizhzhia Regional Council, I was at work, and the majority of this staff was at work too. Some of them left the city, that is true too. Some of them were taking away children and so on and so on, so we don't blame and judge them. But the majority of the staff was with me at work. The first 3 weeks, I was living in the regional council with my cat. I asked my mom to take my daughter and get to another bank of the river, because Russians were making a propaganda that they will take the left bank of the river immediately in 2 days. Sorry. So I asked my mom to take my daughter and take to left bank. So in case I would be captured or killed or something, at least they could survive and go further to Ukraine. But for 3 weeks, I was living in my office with a cat.
Did you ever consider to relocate during those first days?
No. Well, I would obviously relocate if that would happen and Russia come. Of course, I would relocate. I will never live in Russia. And though I have 2 parents of obviously older age, and everything that my family owns in my city, everything I own, and my parents and my family, but I would leave it all, and I will never live in Russia. Never. It is disgusting.
Thank you. Serhiy, you are serving in Sumy region, in 21st Mechanized Brigade. You are an officer. Nevertheless, you have some relations with civilians and civilian administrations. And we spoke just before this panel about the realities in Sumy, and we concluded that there are more people living in Sumy now than before the full-scale war. And this is the case with many large cities close to front lines. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and about your work with supporting civilians?
Hello. Now our brigade is located on the Sumy Oblast, Sumy region. Sumy city, the capital of the region, is a tiny city, approximately 250 citizens before 1,000 citizens before the war. But for now, it's even more, because the refugees from the frontline villages and towns are in Sumy now. Sumy is located approximately in 25-30 kilometers to the Russian border, and for now it's a distance to the Russian position of drones, Russian artillery position, and in this 2 years there were everyday bombing, shelling, using the drones against civilians, every day, in everyday basis. That's why I'm very surprised in amount of children, of kids inside the city. The city is totally alive. There are theaters, there are concerts, At least the 21 schools are working now. Sometimes it's underground schools, sometimes it's schools with this shelter, but they are present with kids inside. It's possible to get all needed services in this city in 25 kilometers from the front line. 2 days ago, this city has been shuttered by Pion. Pion is a 200 millimeters caliber artillery directly from Russian territory. One citizen was died, but for citizens of Sumy city, it's not the reason to escape in years. For sure, another situation on the village on the front line. This village is under all Russian possible fire, and that's why evacuation is task number one for local authorities, and most serious challenge for them to explain explain to citizens you need to go away. It's the hardest task because everyone has pets, home, cows, etc., and it's impossible for them. You have to escape due to the danger for you because I have to leave, my home have to leave, and that's why it's the hardest part of this work. But then, when front line maybe closer and closer and closer, it's a hard task for military personnel to evacuate 1 or 2 or 3 citizens living in these villages. Mostly it's 80, 90 years old. A week ago, we have had a special operation to evacuate an older woman, 90 years old, from the front line. It was a serious military operation. Reconnaissance units, drone units, radio warfare units were involved to evacuate one person. That's why our claim to the citizen of this village: do it in time, not postpone it to the last moment. In general, I see the very interesting.
Just one question, Sergei. Does it considered to be justified to divert military resources to this kind of tasks? Because people who are being evacuated in these harsh conditions have had a number of chances to leave, but have chosen not to until it has become very dangerous. So it's dangerous for your people. It requires a substantial amount of resources, but you still do it. How do you reason when you make that decision?
We are military personnel. We have to serve and protect. If we will get a question about the possibility to evacuate civilian, we will do it. With the risks for our life, for sure, it's a risky operation if it was postponed to the last moment. But we will do it. No one will be lost, no one will be left on that territory.
Just ask you, Olena. You're facing many situations like that you encourage people to evacuate. They choose not to. Why do people stay behind, even though it is very dangerous for them?
Well, I guess the majority of the important things were said by my colleague, but just in more general discussion, why people don't leave. No one, for example, would judge me if I would go away, even having such a high position, because I have a daughter whose father died, but I have my grown-up parents, obviously. But, I suppose that all the people that wanted to leave, they have already left. All the people who were thinking that they will not live in this city anymore, in this village anymore. And all the people who decided to leave anyway, to live in this place anyway. For example, in Zaporizhzhia or in Sumy or anywhere else in Ukraine, closer to the front line, of course. I never thought about it. If I even never did consider such a possibility. I didn't consider it because it's my place. Why should I abandon my home if someone is thinking that it's his home? Why should I? It means I agree. It means that he's right. No, I'm protecting my home. I'm protecting my city, the healthcare or something. Doing like a little ant, or not little, whose has what, but doing every day the things you do. Not paying attention to Russian propaganda, not pay attention of what's written on Facebook. It's never written good things on Facebook. Who writes good things on Facebook? No one, especially in Ukraine. But you just do what you do every day. I didn't consider such a possibility. I never considered it, that I should abandon my home, my place, the place of my parents who earned this flat, who earned this car, and abandon everything and leave it to Russian pigs. No, I will not do that.
So to stay behind and carry on as an act of resistance, in a way. Yeah.
Another reason to stay there is trust the Ukrainian army. If you will stay there, it will be impossible to use a regular civilian life-saving, life-supporting services. But if Ukrainian military will be close, you will be supplied by all needs for life, by drugs, by water, by food, by medical help, till the end. No one village will be released without fight. So Ukrainian soldiers will be close, and trust. You will be supplied at least. It's a reason to stay, and this trust is a good idea. But in this situation, it's a not good idea to stay till the end. It's our work to stay till the end, not for civilians.
Could you tell a little bit, both of you, maybe about life further away from the immediate front line, like in Sumy, like in Zaporizhzhia city? Sergei told us about 21 schools in Sumy which are functioning. Is that same case, similar case in Zaporizhzhia? Maybe no, it's not. So that works a little bit different from location to location. I know that in Kharkiv, very few schools are operating on a regular basis. They have underground schools, or very few schools which have a shelter, but there's a very short time frame which you can use to relocate to shelter. Maybe 30 seconds in some cases, or 1 minute. So maybe tell us a little bit about that, how it affects children, their schooling, and what the most important thing for you to bring across to a Swedish audience about the everyday life of people who live, in this case, 20, 30 kilometers from front line.
I can make my opinion by my kids. I have a daughter, a son. My daughter is a university student. My son was a schoolboy. He is graduated this year. And for example, this graduation was finished by national multi-tasked examination. It's a special exam for hours of written work. In case of danger, in case of alert, this test has to be stopped until this alert will be abandoned. His exams was 11 hours, from morning to late evening. He was in the school, on the shelter, on the school, on the shelter, on the classroom, on the shelter. And all people in his classroom have refused the offer to postpone this examination, because they understand that the next day maybe will be worse than this day. By the way, my kids are in Odessa city now. Odessa city may be in the back, but Odessa city is every day under attack due to the presence of seaport. And the lyceum of my son is in 1 kilometer from seaport in Odessa. It's a really dangerous place. That's why it was needed to be in shelter in this attack. By the way, the results of this exam was, I think, brilliant. But it's another reason, another reasons. But and I see our children clearly understand what the war is. They can make a balance between the reasons of self-security and the needs of education, needs of families, needs of Ukrainian army, even. They have a 2 years experience in coronavirus pandemic. It was a very slight in Sweden, I know, but it was slightly hard in Ukraine. And then 4 years and a half of the war. And they can study, then can live, then can make a decision, then can get the results. I think it's good for Ukraine, maybe not so good for them personally, but it's good for Ukraine because we will have a very strong generation of Ukrainians, morally, physically, mentally. It's my opinion, personal. Thank you.
Thank you. As for Zaporizhzhia, we have another situation because starting from 2024, we have built 19 underground schools, real schools. I have a presentation, but unfortunately I don't have access to TV, so I would show you how it looks. It really looks amazing. We will have 25 by the end of the year. So all the tests, all the important things are held there. It is 7 meters underground, and it's protected fully, so we were not having such problems in Zaporizhzhia this year and the previous year because all of the tests were in the underground schools, unfortunately. Unfortunately for children in underground schools, but maybe next year there will be normal schools.
Olena, could you tell us a little bit about what life under occupation is like? Because first, give us the numbers. How many people in the Zaporizhzhia region live under occupation, Russian-occupied areas? And what life is like for them there? In terms of access to, well, yet again, education. Are children able to have access to, secret access maybe to Ukrainian education? How are these people coping with the compulsory transfer to Russian citizenship? I read a report a couple of years ago that up to 50% of people under occupation in southern Ukraine refused Russian passports, despite the fact that it poses great danger for them. I don't know what it's like in Zaporizhzhia at the moment, but this was a time back, a few years back.
Yes.
Please.
Regarding the temporarily occupied territories, I will give you, just a very brief info. Of course, we do not know the number, obviously, because we do not know what's happening till the end on the temporarily occupied territories. Russians switched off the internet in some of the areas of the temporarily occupied Zaporizhzhia region. So we don't even have the access to Telegram, to I don't know, any WhatsApp messengers. Obviously, they switch off the connection through the mobile connection. So sometimes there can be 3 weeks of no internet at all on these territories. Regarding the people who are left on the temporarily occupied territories, I guess that is in the Zaporizhzhia region equals something about to 150,000 originally, but who knows what happened to them then. Some of them may across the territory of Belarus and Poland come to Ukraine and so on and so on. But originally there were a lot of people. As for the situation on the temporarily occupied territories, we're not even talking about education, we're talking about in general how it looks. In general, it looks like prison because it is prison. You're a slave there. Russians, some of them voluntarily, some involuntarily, are slaves. And people on the temporarily occupied territories are twice slaves because they are not native Russians. They are like they say, new territories, so-called new territories. So people do not have any rights there. You're not a free person there. You're not free to tell anything. You're not free to say anything. You're not free of what you're doing. You're not free. Some of them are mobilized to Russian armies. Some of the children are forcefully brought to Russian schools to have a Russian program, and so on and so on. You're not free to choose there. And that is the main reason. We're not even talking about education. What education? I mean, where? In Russia. But it is not, it connects to every aspect of the life. You're not free there. You cannot do anything you want. You can be put to prison only because you said to your friend that you don't like Putin or you don't like Russian, like Russian political system. It gets back to 30s of the previous century, on Stalin's times, where there were repressions, and then they were absolutely the same situation when people then, for example, if you want your friends home, so you should inform the special forces of Russia, and they will take him for prison, and you will never see him again. So this, in this or that quantity, happens now. So people are slaves there. That's all. That is the most important. And regarding the passport, I suppose some of the people took the passport because the previous year there was a new law of Russia that if you call an ambulance, if you have like ambulance emergency, like a heart attack or anything, an ambulance will come but will not help you until you present the ambulance your Russian passport on temporarily occupied territories. So I suppose a lot of people of elderly age had to take it because otherwise they will die. So I suppose there is quite a lot of people who took their passport. It's obvious.
Before we give the floor to questions, maybe you could tell a little bit about the situation at Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. This is the largest power plant in Europe and among the 10 largest in the world. And it came under Russian occupation in the first week of the full-scale war. So what do we know about what's going on there?
What we actually do know for sure 100% that it's under temporal occupation. What we also know that there were been several missions of MAGATE there, including one of the missions was accompanied by Zaporizhzhia, militaries from Zaporizhzhia direction. That's why I took part in one of it. We were welcoming MAGATE mission. I cannot say MAGATE did something amazing, no. They just went, saw the situation in the whole and went away. Regarding the situation, technically, there is a pond of the river near the nuclear power plant that holds the temperature, so it's a safety reasons. After the Kakhovka Dam situation, the level of the pond decreased for 6 meters. So 1 meter more, and it's a critical situation. It doesn't hold the necessary temperature, and something technological will happen. So basically, and even these things, it doesn't really matter. The only things that matter, this is technology, the only things that matters is that one of the most dangerous power plants in Europe, I guess the most dangerous regarding the quantity of the working mechanisms there, is in the hands of people who, first of all, do not know how to handle it properly, because majority of the specialists left from Energodar, which is the city it's located in. And the second, it is not under normal civilized supervision. So these are the two main things we need to know. So as long as it's under Russian occupation, we're in great trouble, all of us. And you probably know that if something happens, the cloud is going across the whole Europe. So it's not only Ukraine's problem at all.
So the power plant does not produce any power, but it's still operating for safety reasons.
I want to explain. MAGATE mentioned before, it's an international agency of atomic energy by United Nations. And it's our emergency team in this station.
Thank you. So I give the floor for questions. Please, just wait for microphone, introduce yourselves, and no?
So thank you so much for sharing of your experience. My name is Lisa, and I'm a doctor in South Sweden, taking care of medical healthcare, preparing us for war. I've been to Ukraine twice to try to learn from you and with a little help. So we're very thankful sharing how to create resilience among the people. We're not so many people in Sweden, and I want to create a courage to stay and keep fighting, both civilian fight and military fight. That's the most important thing we have to do, I think, besides, of course, building structures and resilience. So what made your people stay and fight? Can you help us with some, did you inform them? Was it an existential, unifying sense of national, or what did you do? Can you give us any roads to start from here? We'll be thankful.
Well, first of all, of course, if somebody would ask me if I have ever seen miracles, I have definitely seen it through the first, I would say, several months. It was not even days or weeks, it was months of, like perfect uniting of everyone. Volunteers, militaries, of course, they're the heroes number one, it's obvious. Volunteers, just ordinary people, like I was seeing so many things that, like a granny on the street was coming to someone and saying, like giving the last 5 euros in hryvnias and saying, please, this is my last money, please buy you something to eat and to drink. And so on and so on. Starting from this and to biggest enterprises who were donating billions to help. There was so many uniting in this. And this was the reason that solved everything. Because if not this, militaries themselves, without volunteers, without help, without everyone, without all of these people, they would not take it, because obviously we cannot underestimate the army of the enemy. They have money, they have power, they have huge budgets. They're a big country. They have a lot of people. If I'm not mistaken, 180 million of people. So if not this, I don't know what would happen. So what's important for Sweden is to work with national identity. I do not mean any segregation for your neighbors or from Europe. No, you're together, you're united. But it is very important that Swedish children would understand that they are Swedish, that Sweden is the nation, Sweden is the country, it's above all, and so on. Unfortunately for us, it was too late when we understood this. So now we are implementing it on any levels, on every levels. But we should have done it much earlier.
The last thing Olena said, you're very familiar with that. The sense of national identity, since you're from Odessa, like myself, very important. You know, there were some pro-Russian sentiments in Odessa before the full-scale war. How did Odessa cope with that, and how did Odessans manage to stay together?
Yes, as I said before, I'm from Odessa city. Odessa was maybe mostly pro-Russian intended city before this war. Odessa was totally Russian-speaking before this war. Odessa was maybe possible best point for Russian forces to break Ukraine from inside. But in the first days of this full-scale invasion, Odessa was converted to strictly pro-Ukrainian city. Even languages on the street, even attitude to Russia. And main key point is respect to human, respect to citizen. There are several soldiers in our brigade are from liberated territories of Kherson Oblast. They are maybe most motivated to fight because they was under Russian occupation. There is an old sentence from Latin history, homo libero in patria libera. Human may be free only in free country. Occupied territory, even Russian territory, is not a territory of freedom. It's a territory of everyday terror. It's a territory of everyday limitation of your rights. That's why I said it, that the first human rights defenders in Ukraine are armed forces of Ukraine. And this feeling of freedom, it's a part of Odessa mentality. And they were able to feel the difference between Ukrainian attitude to human and Russian attitude. And that's why for now Odessa is maybe one of the castles of Ukrainian freedom and Ukrainian identity. 4 years ago, Odessa citizens was converted to Ukrainian speaking to show their attitude to Russia. For now, there is no need to do it. You can be Russian speaking freely in Odessa and will be Ukrainian citizen, Ukrainian soldiers. Ukrainian army is a fragment of Ukrainian society, clear fragment. And inside the army, I can trace the changes in the Ukrainian mentality. And I see this change, and maybe I have to say thank to Mr. Putin for building and forming of Ukrainian nation and forming of Ukrainian mentality. I can see it like an officer of information forces and like an Odessa citizen. But it's only thanks to Mr. Putin in my life.
Thank you. We need to end our panel. Sergei and Olena will stay on for a few minutes if you want to speak to them unofficially. Okay, Roger wanted. Last question. Short one.
Really short. Talk fast. Thank you very much, Sergei and Olena, for being here in Almedalen and sharing your experiences with us. That's great. Thank you. One short question. What would be your take-home message for us as representatives for authorities in Sweden? What is the most important things to start to prepare our country for in case of even war?
The only advice I can allow myself to tell to you, to Swedes, please be united. It has to. Maybe it's easy to hear, but it's hard to be. And the Russian propaganda goal number one is a unity of the nation. Ukrainian society was under this propaganda attack in years, maybe in decades. And if Russian will be going to grab Gotland to attack Sweden, the only possibility to do it, to it is possible only if Swedes will be disabled to resist. You're willing to be Swedes. You're willing to be members of free world. It's the main power of your nation. Please keep it. Keep it and be ready to use it if you will need.
I will have multiple advices. On the contrary, but very short. No, very short. Just as we said on that meeting with Sarah a month or so ago, everyone should have a plan. Are you a CEO of a business or are you just a mom of one baby? You should perfectly know what you've been doing in any occasion, whom you will call, where will you go, where will you take your gas for your car, to whom you can call and say, okay, I'm in trouble, I want to take my baby to you. Will you please take my daughter or my son or my dog or my elderly mom and dad? So everyone should have a plan, and it gives away anxiety. So when you're prepared, you know what to do. This is the first one. And the second one, this doesn't, what I and Sergei are talking about, it doesn't mean that Russia will literally attack Sweden. You don't have borders. But if Russia will attack your neighbors, and what if 5 million of peoples will rush to Sweden? What will you do? What will be with healthcare? What will be with business? Do you have enough food? Do you have enough water? Do you have enough space? Do you have enough orphanages? Do you have enough everything? That is a very serious question. I know that Sarah, for example, in Western Norland, has already made a plan, just like anyone should do. Anyone should do that. That is a key. Like every day, you should do your things.
Thank you so much to you. It's a great honor to have you here and to share your experience, because we started this period to give a lot of support to Ukraine in different ways. But the best way to get support is to build partnerships, because then it's mutual beneficial for both. Then it becomes long term. So thank you for being here sharing. We should welcome back next year. And I know you had a lot of meetings here, and it's been very beneficial, I hope, for you to be here. So thanks again to the panel. And now I would encourage you all to step by the exhibition. It's honoring the soldiers at the front